Alrighty, let's start today off with EuroJPY. I got a bunch of messages, but these are the top 3 that you guys wanted. Majority, okay, by majority. So for EJ, we have a sell zone up here that started with an engulfing, a very strong engulfing sell for this one. And we have our buy zone. Well, the sell zone was respected multiple times, okay? So, and our buy zone started with an engulfing sell that failed. Price came back, created an engulfing buy. If price decides to respect these 2 zones, it will just go on or any sideways for a while until one of the zones break. Okay, current price is over here. This current H4 also tapped into this key level before dropping down to its current price. Okay, so that's just something to be mindful about. Also, we do have high impact news and medium impact news throughout the day. The pairs are Euro, CAD, and USD. So check Forex Factory to get your timings and time zones correct, so you can monitor the charts more carefully. Okay, so for EJ, what can it do? Let's zoom out a little, like this. All right, EJ. Current price is over here. If it decides to come up into our sell zone and respects it, then potentially we can catch a sell down. Once H4 closes in the zone and you are a low risk trader, wait for the H4 to close and monitor the next H4. Okay, but if you are a high risk trader and the price comes into your zone and it creates a setup and you want to take it, it's a bit riskier because the H4 has not closed, but again, it's all up to your risk appetite and how you manage your account. Okay, so this is just some potentials that I'm telling you. So if H4 decides to still respect it, then you can switch down into M5 or M15, or you can find your setups right now. Then when price comes up into the zone, you can monitor for the closing and which engulfings. If it respects it, then you can enter. If it doesn't, then you wait. Okay, so that's just how the flow is. If H4 decides to break above, then it might want to test a higher area. Right? It also can shoot up into the next zone in one go or retrace back into the key levels for a better buy up, vice versa. If it decides to drop down into our buy zone and respects it, then potentially we can catch a buy back up. But if it breaks below, then it might want to test a lower area like this. Okay? So where do you go to monitor for your entry? Monitor M5 or M15 for entries. Okay? Remember your money management, okay? Always be aware of your account size, what kind of risk appetite you have, because if you are a low risk trader, of course you're not going to enter too much because this is a Friday and you do have high impact news on USD later in the evening. Okay, so monitor and manage your account wisely. Now let's go to the next pair. Oops, next pair. Oh, before I go, I will just show you what I will be monitoring for EJ for a potential sell. Okay, M5. On M15, I didn't see anything really. It's just an engulfing sell over here. Oops. It's just an engulfing sell over here. But on M5, it has this over here. An engulfing buy that failed, and in the process of failing, created an engulfing sell. So this is just right above the key level, but it still has a portion in the key level. So I'm gonna wait for the price to come up. This is just me personally. If you want to monitor with me, you are welcome to. So if the price comes up and creates an engulfing sell within my M5 zone, then I will enter, because then I know it is a low risk because this has already happened. And if it creates the next engulfing sell, then I will already have my A, B, C. So I can enter from there, okay? But it's not like you enter here and you are gonna get profits 100%, okay? Nothing is 100%. At least you know how much you are willing to lose in this setup. I will calculate mine before I enter. So I will put 40 pips above my entry. Once I enter it, after it creates the engulfing sell, I'll count 40 pips from my entry and I will let the trade run, okay? Whether it hits my SL or TP, I have already accepted its fate. So that's how you should go into a trade with that mindset. Okay, that's for EJ. Now next, we move on to GJ. GJ, we have our sell zone up here and our buy zone down here. Sell zone is just an engulfing sell, but this engulfing sell was able to keep the price below this high for 750 pips. All right, so it's a very, very strong seller's zone. So I'm gonna monitor this for any potential sells. So you can see it tapped already the key level twice in these two H4s. Again, I wanted to come in, close within, then I switch into the lower time frames to monitor for entries. In our buy zone, we have an engulfing sell that failed. It failed on this H4 that closed right above. Price came back down, closed within, and created this engulfing buy. Current price is in the middle. So what can it do? If it decides to come up into our sell zone and H4 respects it, then potentially we can catch a sell down. If it breaks above, then it might want to test a higher zone. Vice versa, if it drops down into our buy zone and respects it, then potentially we can catch a buy back up. But if it breaks down below, then it might want to test a lower area. Everything is potential and price travels from zone to zone. So you just have to see that happen, observe it, monitor it, and you will be more comfortable with the movement of the charts. Okay, so where to place your SLs, I've already said it. SL at 40 pips from your entry. Okay, this gives a bit of movement, a bit of space for the price to move before going in its direction. All right, it's a very safe SL, not too tight, not too big. Now, last but not least, Euro USD. Now, this was almost a tie between Euro USD and GBP AUD. But I'm going with Euro USD because we had like just a few more, I think 2-3 more votes on Euro USD. So, and it's quite a popular pair also. Okay, but I will save my GBP AUD for next week. Okay, so you won't feel left out. Sell zone up here, buy zone down here. I'll go with the buy zone first and then go from sell that failed. Price came back, closed within, created the first engulfing buy, then played within, did not create any engulfing buys after that within the zone, but it did use the key level to bounce this up. So we caught this buy from yesterday. All right, now the sell zone is a tricky one. I've also mapped out this next sell zone up here, which is an engulfing sell, so you can use that to monitor for future references. But last night we also did this, right? We had an engulfing buy that failed and we monitored that. And I said that if it breaks above, then potentially it might want to test a higher area. But it is respecting somewhat. It is still dropping. So you have to find the reason why. And the reason why it is finding a very hard time to break up above to chase the next sell zone is because this engulfing sell. So you have to take this engulfing sell into account. As a trader, you have to be fluid, you have to be flexible in the market. It already failed, it already broke this, well, we still have to break this engulfing sell. Okay, so that's why I'm taking this engulfing sell to monitor for any entries. If it breaks above, then I will use this key level for a buyback up if it decides to retrace it. But if it does not retrace and it breaks this, I will just wait for this for a sell because it's more worth it to whack over here than in the middle. Okay, well, that's in my opinion, in my experience. So this is completely up to you. But for the engulfing sell zone, you can see that once price came up, it tapped in the key level, created this engulfing sell. And if this H4 decides to close as an engulfing sell also, this will be a very strong zone for an engulfing sell that was respecting this particular engulfing sell. Okay, so again, we will have a news, medium impact news on Euro USD twice today, but the first one will be in an hour and a half. So beware of that because it might cause some spikes and drops. You would not know where it goes, and if you're not comfortable trading with news, wait for the news to be released first. 15 minutes after, then you can see where you want to enter or what is its potential to follow through. Okay, so Euro USD. Let's zoom out a little. There we go. Current price is over here in our H4 sell zone. Now, if it still decides to respect our sell zone, we can wait for the price to retrace back into the key level for low risk traders if it decides to drop, Or if you are more advanced and you want to try out your setups, you can also find continuation setups as the price drops. Meaning, when the price does this, you will find your engulfing, buy that failed, price comes back, creates an engulfing sell within, then you can enter. Whether it be an engulfing sell meets engulfing sell, EFEG, EFEGEG. Whatever setups that you can find as the price drops, if it decides not to retrace, that will be your continuation setup. All right, but you have to be mindful that this will be even riskier. So these are for people who have medium to high risk appetite. But if you're a low risk trader, wait for the key levels. All right, I like to wait for the key levels. I don't really like to get into continuation setups, but that's just my preference. All right, because I don't really trade every setups that I see if I don't feel like it's worth my money. Okay, if H4 decides to break above, then it might want to test this higher sell zone. So it can either shoot all the way up or retrace back into our key level for a better buy. Vice versa, if it decides to drop into our sell zone and respects it, then potentially we can catch a buy back up. But if it breaks down below, then it might want to test a lower area. All right, for the TPs, where do you TP? TP at something that you are comfortable with. Your daily target should be met, meaning if you know you can open 5 entries of 0.01, you will already lose $20 in that setup. All right, but how much you can make? 20, 40, 60 pips, that's how you calculate. All right, so calculate by your daily profit target. If it meets it, then you can set it, but you have to set something that is realistic. Break it down to pips, and those pips needs to be something that you're comfortable with making. It feels easy and it does not add pressure and stress to your trading game or trading plan. All right, so that's it for the 3 pairs. I'm gonna get back to replying to some messages. I still have a few messages to kind of catch up on because I did not have that great of a connection in Bali. So I'm gonna do that today, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.